Yes, welcome here to another edition of Josh Times Live. I'm glad to be with you this weekend again. There's a lot that have been transpiring, and there is a fear over people around the world that what is transpiring might come to be the World War III. What just happened this week? Let me give you a recap. Iran was attacked by Israel after failing to get a deal from the US per se the nuclear deal. Israel carried an operation soon as we saw the US diplomats were told to leave Iran as soon as possible. Once they left, Israel went ahead and attacked Iran. It named its operation Lions Rising. It was derived from the Bible, from the book of Numbers, from the chapter 23. So, what doesn't come as easy for Iran, that it has been planning at least to bring about change in its nuclear weaponry. It was about to do a breakthrough to build the first bomb of nuclear. So this came about when the UN watchdogs failed to secure a deal with the Iran, and they said Iran should be deterred in this context. For Israel, it did even wait for America to roar, but we saw it. Donald Trump came out and said what Iran has just done, it's going to regret it, for the fact that they are being the ones that deterring Israel to do away with the aggressiveness of Iran. So this came about, and we saw that it attacked. This how it was. 6 of its nuclear plants were attacked, and we saw that several major commanders were killed, right from the top commander of the Revolutionary Corps to Islamic Corps. And we saw that even the scientists that have been indulging in this, they were also killed. Let me bring you closer to the Iran retaliation. We're gonna go back to the Israel-Iran attack. Iran retaliated yesterday with, first of all, 150 drones, which were taken down. They were passing through Jordan, so they were taken down. Some reached, some never reached into Israel. Through Jordan, they were taken down, because Jordan has been all along against Iran's attack to Israel, not because it's a friend to Israel, but because it doesn't want the escalation of war in this Middle East. So yesterday, we saw that the Iron Dome was at work, because there were a lot of missiles and only few projectiles passed through the Iron Dome to hit Tel Aviv. Few were injured, like 7, and it wasn't that much dangerous, but there were so many missiles that were sent to Israeli space. Let's go back to Iran being attacked. For America, still thought there is still a chance for Israel and Iran, plus America and other UN watchdogs, to come to a consensus about the deal of Iran not go on with producing nuclear weapons. They are using nuclear, but not nuclear weapons yet. So America is distancing itself actually from what happened to Iran, and it's saying that it didn't support it, though it knew about it. They were alleging that Israel, they got the information that Israel was about to go for Iran. They warned that if by any chance Iran doesn't want this to happen, they should actually come for deal. Let's see what transpired. The command of the unit force of the drone unit force was slain. The command of air defense was also killed. General Major Muhammad Abdey was killed. He was the commander of Irani's forces. He had spent over 40 something years in the army of Iran. By that time, Iran was in war with Iraq. And you remember very well that amidst this war, America was behind Iraq. And it promised even Iraq by that time to give it nuclear weapons. In that same very year, Major General Bagheri, that time when he entered the army of Iran, his elder brother was already in the army. He was in the army during the 78. This was a time when there was a revolution in Iran. So Hassan Bagheri, I want you to understand, is the one who started. When I talk about Hassan Bagheri, I mean the older brother of Bagheri, who was killed yesterday. He was the first to lead the intelligence agency of Iran, inside Iran Revolutionary Corps. He was the chief intelligence officer. So during the war, he died. By that time, when he died, his young brother Bagheri, he was appointed to lead the intelligence agency. So since then, he has been promoted. From then. During 1997, he was also sent into the Pakistan region for the Kurds, and it was an operation against the Kurds. So in 2016, he was appointed and to lead the Iranian military. He became the chief of defense forces of Iran. In 2019, now the deceased Major General Bagheri, America put embargo on him. America was alleging that he was one of those on the lieutenants of Ayatollah Khamenei by that time. So you remember, even Ayatollah Khamenei, as America put an embargo on him because of the attacks and the affiliation of selling drones to Russia and sort of that. When of recent, the war of Ukraine and Russia. In 2022, we remember that even Canada and United Kingdom also put more nanny on him when they were alleging that he led those people that were trying to kill those who were protesting against those who were wearing the hijab. You remember that girl who was killed in Iran during those deadly protests? Man, a lot were killed. A lot of people were killed during those riots. So the government used a lot of excessive force. That's where the nanny actually comes from. Yes. Let's go on. That was by the way. As soon as the news were confirmed, Ayatollah Khamenei just appointed Ahmed to become the leader of the army for the meantime. The Ahmed was also a former intelligence officer. So let's go on. Even Major General Salami also died, who was also leading the Islamic Revolutionary Guard. The Islamic Revolutionary Corps also was killed. Even General Golomay Rashid was also killed in this. So Rashid was the deputy of General Bagheri, also died. Hussein Salemi was leading Islamic Revolutionary Corps. It deals more with the operations that are pertaining operations outside Iran. You could really tell it's an army of its own. I'm trying to portray and give you a bigger picture of what has the operation of Israel made to Iran. People would allege that it was a mere operation, but it's not that cheap. It's a big one, because we could see that recently the top command of the Iranian force was brought down, was brought standstill. I've showed you that Bagheri was killed, the commander. The head of Islamic Revolutionary Corps was killed. The deputy of Bagheri was killed. The top command was actually brought down. But soon as they were deceased, and Ayatollah brought another command. And the same, Ayatollah Khamenei appointed Muhammad Pakpul to become the leader of Islamic Revolutionary Corps, to come into the to fit the shoes of General Salawi. Major General Ali was also appointed to come into the to fit into the shoes of General Ali. Another one who was killed, Brigadier General Amil, was the leader of the air forces. Ali Azizadi was also killed. So what I need you to understand, all these people, they were not in one place. They were different locations actually. So for Ali, he had just called a meeting for his commanders to talk about the insurgency that has just transpired upon Iran. That's where Israel found him. In one of the commanders that were killed with him is the one who was a leader and a commander for the drone unit. Even in that insurgency, there were other prominent ones who were killed. For example, there was someone who was an advisor to Ayatollah Khamenei. I'm forgetting the name, but I'll try to get it right. So what we are seeing, it might be a big insurgency in the Middle East, which can escalate actually to World War III if not handled very well. Because if you could literally read it between the lines, the situation is getting worse. It's heating up in the Middle East. The Gaza war is still around, and of recent we saw that the escalation on Lebanon is still on. Now Iran has come into the bigger picture, which will hope that if by chance it goes on, America might come into the picture. Though we know that it's a hand behind. It's the hand behind. It's the hand behind Israel for this operation that has happened, the Rising Lion operation. So let's go on. Even the scientists in that have been helping Iran to do its operations, to build nuclear weapons, were also killed. Israel is alleging that it got intelligence reports alleging that Iran was about to make its first nuclear bomb. Remember, Iran is the biggest enemy in the region for Israel and a big threat to Israel, So let's look at those that were killed. There is a guy, he was killed. Israel wanted to kill him in 2010, but it wasn't possible. Actually, he was the head of, I'm forgetting the name. Let's go on. Mohammed Bein was also killed. He's a professor. By the time they have killed him, he has been the president of Azad University in the city of Tehran. He's also a prominent scientist. Another one is Abdallah Hamid Minocho is also a prominent one. There's also Professor Ahmed Reza. There's also Professor Lamilu. There was also Professor Motali Zadi. And all of these, they have been working in the University of Shahid in Tehran. They are prominent, and these are elites in nuclear. So Israel is saying that it did this because these people have been helping Iran to build nuclear weapons. And Israel is saying, if by chance this bomb is made, Israel will be in a big trouble because it's the biggest threat in the region. So, as soon as the attack happened, the Netanyahu came out and chest stamped and was saying, are we good? I go on. So he was chest stamping and was saying that this was just at the beginning. They still have a lot for Iran, so they should expect more. Netanyahu went on and said the scientists that were killed, they are not killed by accident. It's only because they were part and partial of the nuclear production, the weapon producing of nuclear weapons in Iran. And even the Minister of Defense of Israel went on and he also talked to the people and the citizens. He told them that they should be ready Iran might retaliate. And I will tell you that in a few hours, Iran sent over 100 drones to Israel. But most of these drones were shot down before it reached even Israel. Remember, they used the airspace of Jordan. So Jordan shot some, and Israel also shot some, because Jordan is alleging that it doesn't want the escalation of war in the Middle East. It will affect the region. That's what it's alleging. Leave alone the drones that were over 150. The top leader, Ayatollah Khamenei, came out and said that was still early. Actually, it was still early, because at night we saw the most and the bitter escalation, retaliation came about. Even Tel Aviv was brought to stand still. There was smoke all over. So I want to go on and give you more news pertaining Nani. Let's look at our region, what's transpiring. Leave alone that we have had enough of it, but you should know that it might cause a big insurgency on our world. First of all, the fuel might rise because of the escalation of war, and the food, here in Kenya, we saw there was Mandamano, just like it happened last year June, but this time around it was because of one OJWANG who was abducted from his home area, that is Homa Bay, and brought to Nairobi and incarcerated at Central Police Station. A few hours, he was announced dead, but what traumatized and brought about questions is his death. He had wounds and sort of a lot of scars and sort of that on his body. So the people were asking questions about what was and the reason why he was abducted and incarcerated and the cause of his death. So people were asking questions. Failure for quick questions and sort of that, the politicizing the matter. On Thursday there was the financial bill had to pass. The budget actually had to be read. So most of the people used this chance to bring the biggest protest. The protests were there, but were not big. I'll give you a recap of what really transpired, and I'm gonna give it to you from my side of analysis. Here's what transpired. On Thursday, we started with protesting of the Chokolas, saying Sakaja must go, because Sakaja had given order. Sakaja is the governor of Nairobi, had given order that Chokolas must all be removed from the streets. Then, amidst that, we saw the Chokolas were making a lot of rotations around Nairobi before the big numbers of people joined them. Then after that, the lamentation changed from Sakaja must go to Lagat must resign to Ruto must go. How did this come about? I'm going to give you two, because you saw what happened, so let me give you an analysis of what transpired really, and what I think might have transpired behind what you did see. You see, on Wednesday evening, some of people allege that activists and those who are fighting Ruto's government and the powers behind, the invisible powers behind this protest, went on to get chocolats, told them that Sakaja wants to fire you from the street. What you need to do, go and protest for your rights. They gave them something. They positioned them in different places. So on Thursday, the rotation that we saw first, the chocolates were moving this side to collect other people to come. Once there were many numbers, the other ones with their agenda of protesting against the financial bill and lamenting Lagat must resign, they came up. When they came, they moved actually to the gates of the police, leaving the chocolates this side still lamenting Sakaja must go, but the tone has already changed to Langat must move. So by the time the chocolates realized that the lamentation of Sakaja must go to Lagat, the numbers were overwhelming actually. And this is where the toughest Nani came about. The running, sort of that, right from the morning to evening. No one died actually, but there were some very injuries. There were a lot of thuggery, and mostly on the council's Nani, and the financial bill actually passed. But how do we come to this? It's only because there are people against Ruto, and Ruto is facing a hard time in his business, because we could remember that few people were indulged in an election, and the few that voted, he got a simple majority. That means around 70k people. That is a simple majority. That means if they were 7k, yeah. So that means if most of them had indulged in an election, Ruto wouldn't have won. This is the same case as Hichilema in Zambia. No. Eddie Kalungo, actually, the deceased one, the president, the former president, right now is a deceased. Is about to be buried, because there is still chaos between the government and the family and sort of that. Because he was voted with a simple majority, he faced a lot in his deliverance of service to the people, because most of them, they were against him. Another thing, Ruto's government focuses more on macro economy, not micro. This has brought about a challenge of his making decisions by himself, so that he needs coalitions, and the coalition he has weakened more his government. So he can no longer do what is technical and what is political. He can't differentiate them right now. What he does only say is totally political. Even if you look at his foreign policies, they are mostly political. That's why for now, foreign diplomacy of Kenya, the foreign policies of Kenya and diplomacy of Kenya has been politicized in the term of Ruto. For him, he doesn't have the numbers in this case. Working with people who are non-technocrats and in the positions where they are supposed to be technocrats, where you put politicians, it's a big problem. That's what we're saying. Majority right now are poor because of the policies, economic policies. They have helped to elevate the big companies. Some of those that we saw, they were not even in good shape. They are now making and making strides pertaining the economy. So another thing, Ruto is still facing a challenge of over the Kalonzo, Gachagua and sort of that. Though they are weak enemies, why am I there with the weak? If it was about that they had power and we wouldn't have survived. Actually, if Raila wasn't on his side, he wouldn't have survived. These are weak, but because his government is also weak, that's what is transpiring.